Jared is off this week. We're joined by Jason Jewell. As always, good to have Jason with us. Rock and Refuel Recruiting Roundup. Okay, in the news cycle, unlimited text messaging for recruits. So parents, your son goes into English class and then math and then science, and he comes out and his phone has 100 text messages. This has been passed. Urban Meyer at Ohio State said, ludicrous. What do you make out of this?
I agree. It is ludicrous. You know, I remember when the rule was first enacted, probably about 10 years ago. I was coaching at Agua Fria High School, and we had the #1 recruit in the nation at the time, Everson Griffin.
Right, sure.
And Everson would tell me that he had 2 separate cell phones because of all of the phone calls from coaches, from recruiting services, from everybody on earth, that he just couldn't answer the phone calls enough. And on top of that, back then, you look at when the rule was passed, you know, it cost a dime to get a text message or a nickel to receive one, whatever it was. So these kids were racking up huge cell phone bills. But then it's gone to unlimited text and free, but now kids are just going to get bombarded. There are going to be people sitting in the recruiting office of some of these schools texting kids all day, and I see it's wrong. It's going to interrupt those kids' school schedules.
The cell phone companies are going to come out big winners on this. Who racks up the most minutes? I mean, seriously, Jason, it will be, if you're a top quarterback, it's going to be nonstop as you're going through. And the NCAA, that makes zero sense to me on that front. All right, satellite camps. Now, satellite camps every year, it's a place where kids can go to from around the country that may not be the highest ranked, right? And let's talk about satellite camps, because now the NCAA wants to do away with those.
So they came out and said done. They're just done point blank from this day on. And there are schools that were already have their whole summer schedule set up. And the satellite camp is a good way for a kid, instead of having to fly out to maybe Chicago to go visit Northwestern, maybe they have a camp in California. Northwestern has a series of camp in California, and the kid's able to go to that camp. And maybe it's not just Northwestern at that camp. There might be 10 or 12 schools at a camp. So a kid can come to a camp and perform in front of 20, 30 schools sometimes for limited funds, $20, $30. We held our camp at Glendale with the University of Arizona. Arizona Christian came over to it as well. So that camp is no longer going to be, in existence. And the kids were able to work out for 3 college staffs for $30. You couldn't beat it. And now it's gone. I think it's a bad deal for kids.
So if you're the undersized linebacker, we're going to go through some commitments and recruiting news here in a second. But if you're the undersized player, I think it really damages them, Jason, because they have parents that rely on wanting to see that kid get exposure, and now that exposure is being taken away. Do you think the NCAA comes back and says these recruiting services can now have camps and let players come to these combines and coaches come to these combines, so to speak?
Well, I don't think that changes, because that's already a rule that the college coaches are not allowed to be at a combine. So
but do they change it now?
I don't think they're going to change it. The NCAA is pretty stubborn, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. All right, so to commitments. One big commitment this week, right?
Yeah, Dayton Jackson, a wide receiver at Liberty High School. He's actually a 2016 prospect, so he was the last kid still out there, the big-time player. He committed to Marshall and signed with them. His dad's an NFL veteran, but good, he didn't give up on his dream. He continued to try to get recruited and signs a big-time Division I scholarship offer.
You have someone in the class of 2018 getting some big offers.
Yeah, you look at Deer Valley High School is not a typical high school with big-time prospects at it, but they have a junior-to-be in Joey Ramos, their left tackle, who just got 2 big-time offers. He got Nebraska, and he got an offer from Utah. The kid's like 6'4", 255. He's very nasty on film, and he's one of the top 5 long snappers in the country as well.
Let me ask you this. As you look ahead towards this year's class, I know that every week it's Austin Jackson and Kelly, but are there some players that are starting to come up to the surface? Is this looking like a deep class that's going to sign next February? Is it pretty much 3-4 top kids?
No, I think it's a very deep class. Yesterday when I was going through it, there's 37 kids already in the 2017 class that have Division I scholarship offers. So I think it's a very deep class.
Good stuff there from Jason Jewell. That's the Rock and Refuel Recruiting Roundup, powered by Rock and Refuel.